go. Stand up, sit down, doesn't matter. I think we might have a record group today. I don't know. All right, Dana says I don't have to do anything on this thing. If you're wondering, that's paint on me, just so you know. I tried to do a little painting this week, and the paint covered me more than I covered the paint thing. All right, Dana, I don't have to do anything here. I'm just got to press this button, and I won't do it yet. Whew. I got a lot on my mind today. I'm trying to gear in a little bit, but before we start, I want to just thank everybody for showing up today. I know I left a lot of you a little voice message last night. I'm thinking I'll give you a little love in action, and maybe you can send that to some of your friends, but it's just great to see everybody. Hey, and there's a guy, I haven't seen him in a while. Where's Joey? Where's Joey? Joey, give it up for Joey over there.
You know Tennessee, everybody knows.
That's it, man. Hey, are you talking about Shane? Yeah. Give it up for Shane as well. All right, man. How about Shane having a whiskey, passing out flyers? I know how that goes, but I don't drink, you know. I don't eat that because the Mormons don't get pissed off at me in the room. That's why I don't drink, all right? Anybody else new here? Hold on a sec. Dick, go ahead.
I'm from upstate New York, sir.
And by the way, I guess somebody watched it. One of the guys texted me the other day, and he said, "Oh man, I'm glad you have it on video because I enjoy watching it." I'm like, "Hey, somebody watches it." I couldn't believe it, man. Actually, that was kind of cool. But give it up for Dana. Thank you so much, Dana. Hey, I would put this on too. You know, a lot of you guys I know are conservatives, but you guys over here that are hard-out Democrat, left-wing kooks, I want you to know this, that Trace Ritter is going to be doing a seance and a brain thing on you afterwards. If you want to go see Trace Ritter, he's over here. Give it up for Trace over here. Give it up for Trace. So, all you lefties and liberals, you sit on table number 4, all right? Kind of leading me my story today. I want to start off with this. I don't know why you guys are all here today. Looks like a pretty big crowd. But I did get a few phone calls during the week, probably about 5 or 6 from different dudes, or, hey, there's a guy in your group, whatever, in the leadership, and I got it from overseas. And I heard from Ralphie the Mason. Give it up for Ralphie the Mason. He's been following along out in California, right? So Ralphie's doing all right. He says hello to the fellas, all right? And as I'm kind of preparing for today, I'm like, I just want to make sure again. I know some of you guys are going through some stuff, and I know a lot of you guys here, and some of you are mentors of mine, that you guys have hit some tidal waves, 4, 5, 6, 7 tidal waves in a year. And the way you've come through it, and I'm telling you again, that no one leaves the building without knowing how much Jesus Christ is our only shot and our only answer, and he loves you and is right there. So if I miss anything today in this, I want you to know that one thing. Christ is our shot and our answer. It isn't Steve-O, it isn't Pastor Johnny, it ain't the guy at your table, it isn't the minister, it is Jesus Christ. Go alone, and he's right there for you. That's our shot that brings you peace. But let me kind of lead into this message today, and I'm going to try to keep it about 10 minutes, all right? So if you're watching online, watch the whole dang thing. I'll get to the punchline, or maybe a free giveaway at the end. Actually, that's not true, all right? Hey, I was reading in Genesis, and I heard about Enoch. I remember Enoch before. It's like, I guess he never died, but it goes back to Genesis 5, and it's right before Noah, and it turns out Enoch was Noah's great-grandfather. I didn't know that. I'm just kind of learning it up here. You ministers in the back were like, yeah, he's got one thing right today. Yeah, whatever. Well, at least he's got one thing. Okay. Anyways, it was quite interesting. Before Enoch, it was, this guy died. Then this guy lived 500 years and he died. And this guy lived 900 years, he died. This guy lived 5, whatever. And then it gets to Enoch, and Enoch doesn't die. God takes him home. But one thing about Enoch, it says, he walked with God. Interesting. And my story, I didn't walk with God until I was 53. I walked with me. So I was like, that's quite interesting. I'm gonna do a full circle back to Enoch when we're done. Remind me think of a story when I was at a seminar one time, and I heard a lady talk about this, and I'm going to tie it all in together. And she said, wouldn't this world be an interesting place if we knew our expiration date? Because the Bible tells us there's a time that's dedicated, we're going to die, and he knows the time already. But how would we treat other people if we knew, not so much ourselves, we knew everybody in the room there was an expiration date, and we knew it. We knew the date that person was going to meet their maker. How else would you think we would treat other people? What would we say to those other people if we loved God and we knew, hey, that's the answer? This life here, they say in the Bible, God's word is a vapor. Boom, it's over. Most of you guys here are over 55 years old. Some of you look 105, right? You ain't got much time left. It's all the elephant in the room, right? We don't have much time left on this earth. It is a vapor. And how are we going to spend our time? And I was thinking about, go back to Enoch. Enoch said, I'm going to walk with God. I'm just going to resonate on that for a minute. But here's the story. I picked this one up with J.C. Ryle. Is it J.C. Ryle, Rich? That's what we're talking about? That's right. And he was telling this story about the Coachman. I said, man, I got to tell this one of the fellas. This might hit a home run today. Turns out this is back in the 1700s. He's a minister. I don't know if he's dressed like a minister or whatever, but he has to go from point A to B. He has to go across town. I guess it's a 5-hour ride or something. So what do? You can't walk. You call a coachman, right? Y'all here, you get your little golf cart and drive around, or some of you rock stars get your little Lamborghini or whatever it is. That's kind of cool, actually. But then back in the day, you got to get a coachman. So a coachman picks this guy up. He's a minister. And the coachman is just a mean dude, as we'd say in basketball. A piece of work. And he's got the luggage, and he's dropping curse words and taking the Lord's name in vain, and mad at the horses and beating him down, and, get in the trunk, and whatever. He's a mess. And so the minister's sitting there in the coach, and this guy's, he's the coachman, he's driving the coach, and he's got to get there in 4 hours and the whole bit. And the guy's, cutting guys off or other horses off. What I guess you do as a coachman, and cussing out everybody in the neighborhood, running over the kids, calling that lady, whatever they call them back in the day. And just disrespecting everybody. He's a nasty, mean dude. And finally, after 2 hours, the minister just says, Mr. Coachman, I'm concerned where you're headed. I'm headed fine. We're going where I need to go, da-da-da-da-da-da. And we're going to make it on time. You don't need to be where I'm headed. So minister doesn't say anything. About another half hour later, he's F-bombing and using the Lord's name in vain. He's just the meanest dude in the city. And the minister looks out again, Mr. Coachman, I'm still really concerned, where you're headed and what you're going to be doing. Stops it up, and now he's mad at the minister, and he starts telling the minister off, I know where I'm going, I know where I'm headed, you don't need to be bothered, we're going to make it on time. And the minister says, oh no, sir, I'm concerned where you're headed when you die. What are you going to do when you die? I doubt in heaven, he says to the coachman, there's going to be horses that you can beat up, cursing out everybody, taking the Lord's name in vain, mean and anger and all this stuff you got going. I don't think there's much of a place for that in heaven. And basically, the coachman turned to him, didn't say a word, and he didn't speak for the next 3 hours. Get to the place and the story, right? Okay. About 40 years later, the minister's retired. He's in his little shack, whatever, and there's a knock on the door. It's a young girl. Are you Minister Johnson or whatever? Oh, yes, sir. There's a man that wants to see you. Can you come? He's very ill and he can't come see you. Can you come meet him? Well, sure, he's a retired minister, like some of you guys back there. He goes to see the man. The man's laying down in bed. He doesn't have a long time to live. He doesn't have a long time to live. We don't have a long time to live in this room.
Right.
Turns out the man laying in the bed, he asked the minister, do you remember me? He says, no. Minister says, no, sir. you know, you don't look too good. I mean, he doesn't look like he's going to live long. But no, I don't, sir. Would you like me to pray for you? No. Coachman says, do you remember me? I'm the coachman. You remember me, sir, minister? No, the minister says, I was the coachman 40 years ago. And you asked me about where I'm headed. You planted some seeds. And I want you to know, the dying man says, that stirred me and stirred me. I couldn't shake it and shake it and shake it. And I realized I was not ready to meet my Maker. I have not repented. I have not trusted in Christ. But 20 years ago, I did. Before I died, Mr. Minister, I want you to know this coachman is ready to meet his Maker because of the mercy and love of Jesus Christ. He passes away. For some of you cats and you guys watch, I'm thinking about you guys, and I'm going to tie it into a last quick story about the Apostle Paul. We'll come back to the coachman. Apostle Paul, make a fast, quick story. He lands somewhere, I guess it's called Troas. And what does he do? Day one, he starts preaching on that third floor. And there's, I guess, a lot of people there on the third floor. And he goes a long time. It's Apostle Paul. And he says he's not even that good of a speaker. And he's going a long period of time. And one of the kids in the back, he's in the window. And he's bored. And he starts falling asleep. Like some of you cats in this room when I'm talking. You start falling asleep on me. And he falls down. Dead guy duty. Third floor. What happened to little Billy in the back in the window? He's gone. It's over. Paul says no. He runs down. And he says to the guys, no, there is life in this guy. There's some physical life. He might look dead, but there is some life that's come out. They're happy he's alive. What does Paul do? Does he take him to the hospital? Oh, you're okay. Does he, No. He starts going back up. There's a preaching until 6 in the morning. Just made sure the dude was okay. I'm here today because either we're the minister or we're the coachman. And I was the coachman most of my life. And I know some of you guys in this room are the coachman as well. You're just a little more polished. And you got one way, and you don't want to wait till on your deathbed. And here's the encouraging news. And Paul says it. You're not dead. We are not dead. And we have life only in Jesus Christ. That is where it all meets up. And I just want to tie it in together. And I don't know how this is going to roll online, but I want to give you guys some great encouragement today. I was so fortunate in my life that I had somebody at 31 years old approach me in a parking lot at San Jose City College. Frank Carbajal, for you guys that are in the hoop, you know who he is. And he said to me, I'm concerned about you. Now, I wasn't whipping horses and everything. I was a pretty polished dude. And I remember all the coaching clinics I went to and all the meetings and all that stuff. And I still go to a lot of meetings today. And most of them I forget, to be honest with you. But the one I never forgot was the guy that came up to me like Paul did. And he embraced me. And he said, I'm just worried about your soul. I'm worried about you, coach, meaning Steve. Today's the day I want to talk specifically to those here that do not know about the love of Jesus Christ. I know a few of you here do know about the love of Christ. And you've done a good job in this community and with your family about loving them because you know there's still life and embracing them and directing them towards Christ. But for many of you in this room that are searching and don't know about the love of Christ yet, that is our money ticket. We can go to him tonight. He tells us in his word, do not wait. You go alone, and like Paul says, the rest of his life was dedicated to telling others and testifying about God's great love and mercy. He is right there, fellas, and he's waiting to hear from you. Drop all the crap, no pride. I hope your conscience gets stirred tonight Forgive everyone before you go to the Lord. Tell him everything. And most important, ask to know him. And he's right there, and you will find him. You know, back to Enoch. Enoch walked with God. And for all of us, that is my prayer, including me. When you walk with God, you have a relationship with him. And it was just a great thing in Westhaven, or guys, or in Columbia, or watch this video, that's our goal as we're headed to our end years. It's life's like a vapor. And we want to make sure we're turned from self. And that's always hard. Even Paul said he still got the temptation even before he died. And I just want to encourage you today. We have a loving and gracious and kind and merciful Savior in Jesus Christ. And I hope you walk with God. And remember, he loves you. I thank you for coming today. Hope you enjoy your relationships and your donuts. Let's pack the pub next week, and let's invite everybody you know to come around. God bless, and have a great, great morning.